Hi, David.
Hello there.
Nice to see you again. Hope you
Yeah,
had a good weekend.
here we are again.
Yeah, I've still not got my Wi-Fi back, so I'm doing this on my phone data, which is fine, but shouldn't make any difference. And I am recording. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah.
I might well use some. I just didn't have the time to edit everything yet. So we're going to have to really leap today because it's possible that we're going to have someone joining us who is local to where we're passing through, so she can tell us about what's happening. But it's also possible that she just went, oh look, here she is.
Ah,
Hello, Erica. Hello. You may not hear us yet, but hello.
Hello, hopefully you can hear me, can you?
Yes, perfect. Nice to meet you. Hello, this is David. This is Erica. I'm
hello,
JP.
Erica.
John Paul.
Hello.
Very nice to have you with us. I'm going to, I was just going to tell David that you are local, but I think you're not there now.
Ah, I am back.
Oh, you are? Oh,
Which
fantastic.
was why the timing was tight. I got in about 10 minutes ago.
Oh,
So, yeah.
fantastic.
No, I am in Ainsford on our journey.
So if we were to get to a place on the map, would you be near it so you could you could show us the real thing on your camera?
Ooh. Ooh. Well, I could certainly show you out of the window, but
That
it's
would be
mainly
good. Yeah, that would be
greenery
great.
and garden and
it'd be brilliant to
not much
feel
else.
that we are actually, in some ways, we are there.
You are indeed. You are in the valley where the pilgrims would have passed through. Yes, down through
Oh,
the
is
Derwent
that
Valley.
something you're familiar with as a concept? And
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Yeah,
great.
the Pilgrim's Way is somewhere that I've walked and I've cycled sort of near here as well. So
How
yeah,
far,
I know parts of it well.
how far do you tend to go in either or any direction?
That's been an interesting one because as we've all been locked in our houses,
Yes.
we have all been walking much more. Walking probably about 6 or 7 miles in one direction, cycling
Right.
maybe circles of 20 miles. So yeah.
Right. Oh, great. So I don't know if I hope you can see the screen, and there's my map of what we're planning to walk in the next sort of 45 minutes. We're planning to do a 3.5-hour walk. So there's going to be a bit of leaping about to get there. It may be that Google doesn't, I try not to do the walks in advance so that I'm surprised by whatever we come up against, like a real pilgrim. So sometimes Google just doesn't have that path. So we'll have to leap and fly onward.
That's okay. I'm assuming that you're walking along the Derwent Valley beside the river for some of that.
Yes, more or less. We're starting at Swanley. Can you now see the map more closely?
Yes, that's good.
So just to get to where we were on Friday, we actually started at this bed and breakfast. So I'm going to go there, and so that's where we're saying goodbye after several days to this bed and breakfast.
Trapped in a Wi-Fi world somewhere.
Yes. How's it been for you, David, in your brain being stuck in a bed and breakfast?
Bed and breakfast is something I rarely use. I usually book into hotels.
Right.
Or cottages, a holiday cottage on my own. Yeah, but bed and breakfasts are really for couples and families.
Right. And have you in any way in your head felt that you are in some sense parked in this part of, I guess, South London or Kent?
Oh yes, yeah, you do actually feel suddenly you know something about this place. If I met somebody that knew about this area, I say, oh yes, I know that. Weird, yeah.
So in terms of this leaping about that I said I'm going to do, I'm going to jump to just before the M25 so that we can then get ready to cross it. And so presumably this road drives over it.
Yep.
And Erica, what did Mary tell you? I mean, whatever she told you, I'm curious. It got you here.
She said she just thought I would find it interesting, that it might be quite useful to have someone who is local.
Great.
And that it was a sort of rather interesting virtual take on the idea of Chaucer's sort of travels down to Canterbury with groups of people, different people,
Yes.
many of whom we'd never met before. And
Yes.
that could be very interesting, or maybe it's awkward, or, you know, it could be any of those things.
Brilliant.
And that it would just be fun.
Oh, good. Well, that's what I like to hear. I've heard from someone that she's going to be bringing a group of would-be writers on Thursday. We shall see, but I think she really means it. And David's been with me most days.
Oh,
and we've had other people coming and going, which is great. It's absolutely how it should be. And I just wonder whether.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yes, go on.
You're just crossing the railway line there, so you've crossed one of the main tracks going up to London. So lots of people from Kent travelling up every day.
That's where I'll be on the train. Yes, I'll be on the train. I'll be going under that bridge.
Yeah.
Right. You can't really see
it.
anything much, but
no.
That's good to know. So it's funny how the M25 and the train line, they all copy each other, don't they? That's how the railways cannibalized the market for the canals. They built the railways next to them.
I must have been in my 40s when I realized there was actually some pattern to the road numbers, and it's all in spokes around London. So you go from the A2 to the A3 to the A4 and 5 and so on. I know it took me years to figure that out.
I used to go to the West Country a lot, and I realized that lots of them were 4 something or other. The A4, the M4, the 406, all those things. But I still haven't looked into how on earth do you do the numbering? I mean, how do you decide this road is that number and this road is that number?
It was a committee in London, I think, somewhere.
What kind of an argument did they have?
Ministry of Transport said, this is what we'll do, and that's what they did.
Well, I've just come from the northeast today, and of course the Great North Road became the A1.
Of course, yes.
Because it was the big main road up to Scotland, and I think everything sort of worked its way round clockwise, round round London. So you're on Westhead Lane at the moment, which is a bit of a rat run from Swanley down into the valley.
Oh, is it normally? Okay, so we've got to watch out for oncoming traffic.
Yes, probably not so bad at this time in the afternoon, but a little bit later, you'd be mown down.
Okay, well, the great thing is that we can drive through everybody on Google Street View.
It is.
We're like ghosts that can just hop through everything.
And we don't squash any hedgehogs. Yeah,
we never squash hedgehogs. We make a point of not squashing them.
And I'm guessing you're going left here down Crockenhill Lane?
Yeah. Is that what you would do? Oh, look, we're crossing back over.
Yeah, you're going back over the M25.
How bizarre. Okay. So now I'm wondering, where have you always lived in this area?
No, I've lived up in the northeast, over in the southwest, but I've been here for about 25 years. And I actually live just off Crockenhill Lane, which is why I know it quite well.
Oh, gee. Okay. Is that the lane all the way to? Oh, yeah, we're nearly there.
Yeah, you're almost down into Ainsford.
Great. So do I go down the hill?
Yep, straight down.
Okay. Well, this looks very nice. This was taken in August last year, this picture.
Yeah. Yes, we're very lucky.
Do a screen grab of that one. It looks beautiful, very idyllic.
There's a wonderful mixture here of pockets of woodland and very beautiful sort of downland. So we have lots of bird life in the valley, but also beautiful orchids up on the downland as well.
Okay. And how did you find your way here in the first place?
Yeah, well, I went to college in Wye many years ago. So I got to know Kent, and I moved back here for a job and ended up coming back into the valley, which I'd sort of visited as a student, and just really loved it. So yep, right down here, down to the river.
Now where?
You're on Spare Penny Lane.
Is that the right direction?
Yep, you've whipped down. You're onto Riverside now. But Spare Penny Lane was actually was a way of avoiding the toll.
Oh, was
So you
it?
spared your penny by going down that road.
Oh, really? That's because I don't know if you can see, but when I'll leap us back. When I was there, it didn't seem to want to let me go down there, but maybe it does now. Okay, that's good.
That's spare penny. The other, yeah, that's going back up. That's the road on the left. We come down, so you need to sort of turn yourself round.
Right, we'll go along with the bike.
Yes, there we go. So this road, a long time ago, when the roads were tolled, would have allowed you to spare your penny. And the little cottage at the end is still called Tollgate Cottage.
Oh, really?
Which is where you would have had to pay if you'd gone along the main road.
How big is Ainsford? And have I pronounced it right?
Ainsford, yeah. It's about 800 houses, so it's quite a reasonable sized village.
Right. Now, is it wildly ambitious to try to go to the coffee shop before the Roman villa and then go to
no, you've got to go to the tea room.
Tea room, sorry, not coffee shop.
No, if you go left, you'll get to the tea room. Quite a lot of old big farms in the valley, because this was an incredibly rich agricultural area. Down big water meadows down along the valley bottom. That's a lovely Tudor cottage there. Not
Kentish orchards then, it was more, oh, look at that.
Oh, this is the Ainsford Riviera.
Great. Look, they're all, and this is in August last year, so another little screen grab there.
Yeah. Oh no, look at those trousers rolled up.
Yeah, it looks brilliant. Let's see, let's zoom in on them. Having a great time, all faces blurred, obviously. Imagine being the person who came up with the technology which presumably allows Google to do that automatically. Otherwise, someone is very busy.
Rubbing it out.
Fantastic, that really is. Yeah. Looks like the 1950s here now.
Wow. Look.
Oh, well, wait till you get a little bit further up, because yeah, there you go. Lots of people with their seats and their towels.
Yep. So is this very near you, where you actually are in reality now?
It's about less than a quarter of a mile.
Brilliant. Is it as sunny as this there?
Yes.
More or less?
Yes. So this could be today, although I think there's probably going to be slightly fewer people down by the river.
Right. Am I going the right way for the...
You are, yeah.
Okay. Up or down?
I mean, straight over this is a beautiful old little bridge that you're going to go over. And it's one way. And we have a ford to the right. And it was actually, okay, you just turn around. You're in the middle of the main road.
It keeps on.
If you just go, whoop, there we are. Turn around. You're going back towards the river.
Well, it keeps on leaping me right across.
Is just over the bridge on the left-hand side.
What's the name of the church?
St. Martin's of Tours.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. That's a good name for pilgrimage, I think. He's the one who gave his jacket or his cloak or his blanket or something.
There are quite a few in the valley, and you know, as with lots of the places in this valley, they're quite old, and obviously Thomas à Becket visited every church.
Yes.
There we are. There's the tea room.
This one?
Oh no, you just need to go around the corner.
It's funny. It won't
You're right.
Let me go around the corner. Is that the right one?
Yeah, keep going round. Yeah. Oh no, it's not letting you do it, is it?
No. Is it behind me now or in front?
Behind you.
Okay.
You're going up the main road at the moment, which is probably uncomfortable.
This one? No, this one.
Yeah.
That's the T.
No, if you just go to the left of the green,
it won't let
back
me.
Down towards the bridge.
No, it keeps on.
Oh well, it won't let you
forcing me out.
Okay.
Oh well, that's interesting. That's one of those strange.
But you do need to go back that way if you want to get down to the villa.
Right. Okay.
Oh, the knitted tops on the post boxes.
Is that still there?
They change quite often.
Oh, I see. Oh, great.
It's our gorilla knitter. Known only to the ladies of the WI.
Fantastic.
Oh, really?
Fantastic, yes.
Now I've leapt back to where we first went down Riverside. So we're in Lullingstone Lane.
That's it, yep. So
look familiar?
Yep, and this is an absolutely beautiful stroll in a warm summer's evening.
Oh, look at that. This is so nice. David, does this compare well with where we were last week?
Oh, this is much better. This is beautiful. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the weather's even the same as here. Yeah,
Look at
gorgeous.
that
Is that.
viaduct. Is it particularly well known, the viaduct? Is it in sort of films and things, or not?
No, not particularly. I mean, it's there are several in the valley.
Which line is it on?
It's the Seven Oaks up to Swanley.
All right, yeah.
So
Not-
if you go a little bit down to the left, you come to Ainsford Station. So you can actually come straight into the village by train.
Oh, I see.
And
Oh,
then
yeah, there we are.
Then you trek down the valley, sort of following the route that we're going to go.
Is it worth walking along the road, or should we just leap to the villa? Because we've got to get to Kemsing still.
Yep. Why not leap to the villa?
Okay, we'll just do the little walk up to it, so we're not far
Yes.
away. Still behind this frustrating coach.
And on the left-hand side here, they did a really good archaeological dig 2 summers
Over
ago.
here?
And they invited people from the local villages to come along and help. Although I
wow.
think we got given the bits that probably didn't have anything very exciting in them,
Right.
so that we didn't destroy some critical archaeology.
So is that over this way?
Yeah, over to the left, they were interested to see what was in the fields. And just where your marker is there was where there was a huge granary, which was covered over again to protect it. But it was an enormous Roman granary in there. And they found when they were able to do a little bit of excavating in there. And they found that evidence that when the Romans left, the local people continued to use the site and use the granary.
Right.
And we're still farming. So yeah, really, really good stuff.
And what's it like to be, you never met either of us before, and now you're doing this virtual tour guide and showing us this Roman granary, which none of us are actually near.
I know you
But
can't
you're quite-
see.
No,
You're just taking my word for it.
I am, yeah.
I could be making it all up like a story.
Well, that'd be great. I'd be just as impressed if you were, actually. But what's that like? I mean, I think we're slightly pioneering something. Is it? Well, I think of it as sort of the kind of thing that they'll probably do when we occupy Mars. They'll get the poor Martians to pretend that they're in Kent looking at Roman granaries to ground them a bit.
What's it like? I think if you'd asked me that question a year ago, I would have found this very, very strange. But I don't know about both of you, but so much of my life has ended up being looking at people in small boxes. People I've not met before,
Yes,
people I
it's
know well.
It's not strange anymore. It's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so in an odd way, meeting strangers this way seems quite
Normal.
fine.
Normal, yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Which is one of the kind of strange but lovelier things about lockdown.
Yeah. You never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What I really like is that it's got a sort of random quality, because I didn't know that Mary was going to turn up. I didn't know what day she was going to turn up. I only invited a relatively small number. Who's that, David?
Hang on. No, it's from Norway. Sorry. It's interruption.
I didn't know that Mary would come, and I didn't know that Mary would mention you, Erica. And the great thing is that you are actually physically on the route that we're doing digitally, which is bizarre.
It is. I mean, you passed within a few meters of my house, which is, yeah, it's very strange. But then again, isn't that randomness also hugely exciting? And in some ways, that's what we've all missed.
Yeah, totally.
And because you had done this with Mary, Mary sent me a message. And believe it or not, I was within an hour and a half's drive of where she was. And we met up on Sunday.
Brilliant.
So because of you doing this, other people have met. So
In the real world.
In the real world.
I see. Oh, good. That's a lovely thing to hear and to know. Oh, brilliant. I've only got these very tiny glimpses of people in the real world. One of them was David went to the pub for the first time when the pubs opened. So that's my tiny little image of another human being who I know digitally who's gone off to do something. Oh, I'm really pleased. And another thing I'm just going to name rather than ask for an answer, because I think it's rather nice not to know, is that I have no idea what you do, like what your thing is. You said you studied, but I have no idea what you studied. I think that's quite exciting, actually. Brilliant mystery.
But I
And
also like, is it not nice to just meet people in that moment and
Yeah.
not have any idea of, it's not prejudice, but
No.
a concept of what someone might be like.
I agree with that, Eric. In one sense, it is, because that's it. You don't need to know. Somebody don't come on and say, I'm the most wonderful person in the world because I've met so-and-so, so-and-so. We don't want that.
No.
You know, we face value, and that's it. We judge,
Yeah.
no, we don't judge anybody. I don't judge anybody. But,
Yeah.
if I think you're nice, you're nice. And that's the end of it.
It's a great gift that you turned up today, because I had thought it sounded like you might if you can, and it also sounded like, well, why would you? What kind of a crazy offer is this? But here you are. So what a kind gift of your presence. I'm going to jump to Ainsford railway station so that we can. So we've cut across what I imagine was really nice landscape.
Oh, yeah, and you've ended up under the railway line.
That was a good shot. So then if I turn round and go, this is the right way. No, that's the right way, isn't it? Yes, towards Kemsing.
Yep, that's it. Yep. Well, you could have walked along the river if you'd preferred, rather than going on the road. But
oh, can you on Google?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
They might not let you do it on Google. You're right, absolutely right. But you can do a beautiful walk along the river if it hadn't been on Google.
Right. Yes, that is the terrible disappointment and weird blessing of it. Is I was reading Hilaire Belloc's memoir of the Pilgrim's Way and how it formed around the landscape, because the landscape made it the most likely and the most obvious route, and we are obliged to follow the Google route for sort of similar but different reasons.
But don't you think that doing it this way, and then we just mentioned, Eric has just mentioned this beautiful walk along the river, you think, I'm going to go there and I'm going to do it the proper way. There's all sorts of links and things that come out of this. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I really do want to do it properly. And this is the third year that I was thinking of doing it. The first year I didn't, then there was lockdown, then there was lockdown again.
But I think what you also realize is that as you said about, I mean, I've read a little bit of the Hilaire Belloc's work, and of course what they were doing is they were also trying to find a route that was most passable most of the time. So actually when you walk along it and you see it in the landscape, it's often slightly higher up, it's above the valley bottoms, because they were avoiding the rivers and the floodplains and the mud. So actually they follow a route that was probably passable most of the time. So maybe not where you would have expected sometimes. No.
And he makes it sound as if this was right back to Stonehenge. That this would have been the kind of accessible route from one entry to Britain at sort of Kent to Southampton via the central Stonehenge point.
The other nice thing about some of the roads here, and you're passing one of the areas now just here, is that some of these are now nature reserves along the edge of the road. And the one that we've just passed has 3,000 green man orchids during each summer. And we have orchids all across here, but that one is a particularly amazing example, and it's a roadside verge. And I love that. So yeah.
That's amazing. So have you done this route many times? I guess this is
many times. This takes you towards Sevenoaks, yeah.
Right.
Which is the main local town.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see how we're doing on our.
Yeah, you're doing quite well. You're getting closer to Shoreham.
Oh yes.
So we often walk along here in the summer at night, not down on the road, but along the other path, in the dark, which is huge fun to get to the pub in Shoreham, and then we walk back again. It's about 3 miles each way, but it's so different when you do it at night, just by moonlight.
I'll bet. What's the key difference? What would you say you notice?
I suppose that your whole focus is very immediate. So you're not able to look around. You don't look at the view. You're
Mm,
very focused on just a very small area in front of you. And you
Yeah.
usually go with a friend or a couple of friends. So you're chatting and talking, but it's very
Right.
much in that small area because of the dog. It's quite different.
It's almost the opposite of this, where the one sense that we've really got is sight. We can't smell it, we can't hear the birds, we can't touch, or the gravel underfoot, nothing. I did wonder whether anyone who is unable to see would ever want to do this, but maybe they would. I don't know. You could.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one, John Paul, because my wife, she used to work with people who are blind. She used to train in braille and mobility and all this sort of things. And just because they're blind doesn't mean we should not assume that they wouldn't enjoy this, and they would.
Yeah.
They absolutely would, because they've got all the other senses, the winds, the smells, the ground.
But what about this actual virtual one where there are none of those other senses?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about being blind is you can communicate normally with other people. If you were deaf, you couldn't.
No.
People say to me, "Oh, I'd rather be deaf than blind." I think they're wrong.
I disagree as well.
Yeah.
I think it's very lonely being deaf.
Yes, you can't communicate, and that's the main thing. A blind person can communicate as well as we can. Sighted people can. Yeah.
But I think we would probably adapt what we're doing now, because I think between us, we would have tried to describe the landscape in which we're traveling.
Yes.
Yeah.
So perhaps our conversation would be different as well.
A blind person would take part in this, and we would just talk to them about what we can see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Makes you examine it more carefully.
It does.
I know. Yeah, I just happen to know a little bit about this, but with my wife working with such people.
Mm.
Yeah. The other thing, I mean, people used to say, you'd say to a blind person, "I'll see you tomorrow." And people say, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that." Why not? It never offended anybody.
Well, there was a blind man on the BBC pilgrimage, which had sort of celebrities walking together to Istanbul. And I confess I hadn't heard of him before, but that's neither here nor there. But he had a lot of jokes that he made and received about that kind of thing, where he kept saying, "Oh, I see," or something. And it was all very good natured. I guess it all rather depends on whether it's good natured or not.
It doesn't offend them at all. Just, they just want to be treated normally.
I've
And
got
the
a question.
other thing, of course, is they're not blind, they're visually impaired.
Yes. I've got a question for Erica about Shoreham. Is this where the painters, the Shoreham, I've forgotten his name now. Well, maybe not, because
Yes. It's on the tip of my tongue. 20th century. Yes.
I'm trying to admit. Well, I'm going to look him up afterwards.
He did live in Shoreham, or he stayed in Shoreham for a while.
Yeah.
And had a beautiful house down by the river. And there's a fantastic, I think it's got three or four pubs in Shoreham, and one of them had an ostler's box. So when you arrived with your horse, the ostler was sitting in his own little box on the side of the pub, and he would take your horse and look after it. And they still have that ostler's box with a model of an ostler in it.
Great. Well, that's quite right. Next time I come with my horse,
look for your ostler.
Yeah. So this is the entry to Shoreham.
Yep. And it's quite nice because all the way down the valley there are stations still, so you can travel by train. You don't have to drive, and you can get off and you can walk part of it, and then you can go back by train to somewhere else. So
great.
Yeah.
So I could sort of, I could do that. It doesn't have to be the whole walk. And
no, you could do not parts of it. Mm-hmm.
Right, so now we've got not that far. Oh, it's actually called Pilgrim's Way down there. After it's Shoreham Road, it's Pilgrim's Way.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you for being so expert and helpful. This is really good news.
I think you'd find it. I love the way the light comes through the trees here. I think it's very beautiful. Mm.
Yeah. Like those famous French avenues with their in the middle of France, mile upon mile of those shaded roads.
But I don't know if you know Kent, but I mean, I came from the northeast where you get a few small hawthorn hedges and that's about it. And suddenly I came down here and it was like being in a rabbit warren, because many of the roads like this are sort of grown right over, and you feel as if you're traveling down sort of tunnels.
It's quite exciting, isn't it? It lends a sort of cozy quality to it, and mystery, as you say, the tunnels. Jump a bit ahead.
So how far have you walked, David?
From when?
On this Pilgrim's Way, how many miles have you done?
We started in London.
Okay.
They are near, I don't know where we started, but we went past the Catholic Cathedral in Victoria Road.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we looked at Westminster Abbey and we popped into Downing Street.
Oh, how nice.
Yes, we did Downing Street, yes. That was very good, yeah.
And then we sort of went into South London and we looked at, did we go to Southwark Cathedral? I think we did.
Yes, we did, yes. We finished there.
Oh, that's right, yeah. And then we did one stop, which just by sheer perfect and interesting.
You're going left here.
Okay.
On the, it is called the Pilgrim's Way.
Oh yes, no, that's so good.
Yeah.
I've got to take a photo of that. Okay. And one of them we stopped just because it was the right place to stop at this roughly where Stephen Lawrence was killed. So it just suddenly brought me up short, because it reminded me that so much of pilgrimage is about going to the site of some death or killing, which is, Canterbury. That's why we go to Canterbury.
Yes.
Well, in Otford, there was the Bishop's Palace. There was a huge Bishop's Palace there. So Becket visited Otford frequently, right, because it was of Canterbury Sea. So yeah, so he would have known this area well. Oh,
good, very good. Have you ever done anything like a pilgrimage, not just the cycling on the Downs, but something like this?
I suppose in my own very small way, going back up to Holy Island, which is where I was when I met Mary up at Lindisfarne. I've gone there since I was a child, and although it's not a pilgrimage, it is certainly a return to somewhere that I find very beautiful, very peaceful, very stimulating. Yeah. So in that sense, continuing to go back, I suppose, is my form of pilgrimage.
I would love to go there. I've never been there. It's just
beautiful place. Like... it is a beautiful place, is Lindisfarne. You can actually see it off the train on the main line to Edinburgh. But also they do, on Easter Sunday, they do actually do a pilgrimage. So people cross the sands. You can cross a line of poles across the sands, and they walk with a cross. Yeah, the proper way. Yeah. Each April there's a pilgrimage to the church. So it's very much part of their sort of the community there as well.
I like hearing the stories of these very much not talked about these days, people like St. Cuthbert. I didn't even know anything at all about St. Cuthbert until relatively recently, but the idea that these people were wandering around and establishing these places which now seem to us to be so ancient. The idea that someone actually...
up until, I suppose, post-Norman times, maybe even a bit later, that whole part of Northumberland was known as, that we were known as St. Cuthbert's people. So he had an enormous impact on the sort of thinking and the religious life in that area. So where have we got to?
So we're now fairly close to St. Edith's Well. Do you know?
Oh yes, yeah.
So I can read something from my book that the British Pilgrimage Trust has put together. I don't know what it says. I haven't read it because I want to be reading things when I get there, but it must be quite near here. And you'll probably have something. No,
I can see where you are. That's
Okay, so I think we're very nearly there.
You are, yep. It's just down to your right shortly. Here we are. That sort of grassy area with the, if you turn around and look now, this is St. Edith's Well.
This one here, in front of us. Oh, great. Right now
in that, you see the sort of stone structure up on the right-hand side there.
This
that's
one.
where the main well is, and the sort of rectangular side to the right of it is the steps down into it. So I presume at one time they would have had baptisms, or
Right.
they could
Did
go
it
down.
have, was it supposed to cure things or
Let me try and find
Yes.
out.
Or is
miraculous
it just
properties?
someone's water supply?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally vital, isn't it? If you think about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So page.
It doesn't matter if it cures the next door neighbour's rheumatism, it's your water supply. That's important.
Yeah. Because I think Edith was a nun I think there was a nunnery here.
Okay. So yes, she was a much loved Saxon saint. Her life story is rather sad, but remembered with affection. Nowadays, her holy well is marooned in the middle of a triangular road junction next to the village war memorial, as we see. The congregation holds a procession here on or around the 16th of September, St. Edith's Saint's Day. It's said to be the water, if there were access allowed, is said to be good for eye complaints and for aiding a large harvest, so useful for farmers with conjunctivitis.
Curing. Yeah.
Um,
Interesting. Very.
The church dedicated to St. Mary the Virgin commemorates St. Edith in 2 stained glass windows and a banner by the pulpit. Soon after Edith was born here, she was taken back to Wilton by her mother, Wulfthryth, who was a novice at the famous abbey there. Needless to say, nuns don't normally take a career break to have children. She had been forced into the arrangement by King Edgar. St. Edith therefore had royal blood coursing through her veins, but never took advantage of it during her short life. Her mother became abbess at Wilton, but St. Edith repeatedly turned down promotion, even refused to become queen after her half-brother, St. Edward the Martyr, was murdered. There we are. She preferred to serve as a simple nun and died at the age of 23 in 984.
23?
Yeah.
King
Canute was skeptical that any daughter of King Edgar could possibly become a saint and asked for her tomb to be opened when he visited Wilton in 1020. In a scene described by William of Malmesbury, St. Edith's affronted corpse sat up and slapped the impudent royal across the face.
Oh, brilliant.
There we are. Great book.
You couldn't make it up, could you?
No, you really couldn't.
I thought you were going to say that her remains were still in perfect condition.
I wasn't expecting that ending either. I thought the same as you.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah. I love these Saxon saints. They're amazing. Most of them are forgotten, but they're not if you go around Wales or West Country. There's churches dedicated to all sorts of people you've never heard of. I like St. Cadoc. There's John Betjeman wrote a poem about him. Cadoc.
Whereabouts?
Yeah. Down in Cornwall.
Okay, yeah. That sounds Cornish, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. He was he lived in a cell on his own.
Right. Now we've reached our destination. Because of all this leaping about and going faster, we're slightly ahead of time, but I think that's fine. We can stop in a second. But the other book, which I just want to show Erica, because David, I think I've shown you, a lot of the inspiration for this comes from a book by a man I know called Rupert Sheldrake, who wrote this book.
Okay,
And Rupert did the pilgrimage to Canterbury with one of his godsons, but he only did one day. He went to Canterbury, did a 10-mile walk to Canterbury, walked around the cathedral once, and then after going into the cathedral and lighting a candle, they went for tea. And it was a lovely day, and they both agreed to do it year after year. So Rupert says that when you do the pilgrimage, at every given stop, if possible, you should either give thanks for something or ask for something, which you can do in the privacy of your own head. But I think it's quite good to mark well, unless you want to say it out loud, but it's quite good to mark the ending in some way. And I suppose one way would be just to say that what has today been memorable for either of you, this walk?
Well, apart from the weather and the landscape, which was compared to London, was, I'm not saying I don't like London, but it's a total change.
Yeah.
Total change. And this St Edith's Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that fascinates me. Why? What, there's more in that story than
Yeah.
you're actually reading. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you, Erica?
I suppose I have the great fortune of being here all the time, so the landscape is something I know. I think for me, it's not about having the courage, but just having I suppose it's slightly courage of just saying, this is something I know nothing about. I don't know who these people are, but I'm going to do this because why not? And I think it's remembering that there's a lot of pleasure in talking to people who are strangers.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a nice way, not
Yes.
and that actually you get a lot more out of doing that and having that courage just to speak to people you don't know and experience something you would never have done before.
Can I just interrupt there and say that this is something that fascinates me, because I've run several Zoom bars and all sorts of lockdown, and sometimes you set one up and you end up everybody is a stranger because the people that joined it, we don't know any of them, and it's never ever a problem. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things ever for talking to strangers. Because there's a bit of a standing joke about Northerners going to London and getting arrested for talking to strangers.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What I'm going to remember is well, both of those things that you've said, but I'm particularly delighted that I'm doing it with David, who I feel like I know well now because we've been doing online things for a year, but we've never met. And also to be doing this today with someone who I've never met before. And I think the element of delight for me that you did take that risk and joined us and really grounded us, because you sort of talked as if we were there, and you knew stuff about orchids and things, and walking in the dark down a particular part of the road. That was really good. That made a big difference. So thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Great. Well, thank you very much. You're obviously welcome to come again, but you also are completely free not to come again. No one will take anything personally, and that applies to you too, David.
Yeah, John Paul, I think it's a brilliant idea. What's happened today where you invite somebody who's in the area.
Yeah.
Like, get somebody involved whose area you're talking about. And, it doesn't pick up the phone and ring the local vicar or anybody or the local shop.
I might try to do that with someone at Rochester Cathedral, which I'm aiming to be at in a couple of days.
Yeah. Would you like me to have a chat to a friend who's in the choir at Rochester?
Oh, I'd love that.
Because they might either know someone or someone who's local might be happy to do that.
That would be really wonderful. Yes, please.
I will.
Okay.
That's excellent.
Thank you very much.
Right, and
nice
thank
to see
you, fellow walkers.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye now. Bye.